day-to-day activities of the home. So if the home will stand, much of it depends on the wives. So that is what I've done over these 10 years. I think the foundation was good, and we trusted God. God has seen us through, and we've been communicating a lot. We know our roles. And even though I'm a career woman, my husband also supports me, because if it has not been his support, I wouldn't have even been here. I have 3 kids. If you don't get a husband who understands and supports you, most men, even whilst you are there, they will be even fornicating, let alone the person having the chance for you being away. So he has been my pillar. He encouraged me actually to even come back. For him, I wouldn't have even traveled, because it wasn't easy for me leaving my children and coming here. But with his support and the support of my father, I'm here today. So the foundation is very important. Right from the beginning, communicate about your expectations. And if you are comfortable, you continue. You trust God for the future, and you perform your roles as a wife, and everything will be okay. I hope you answered, Francisca.
I will take it like that.
I mean, you are not satisfied. You will continue.
No. I want more. Make the practicals more.
Like what? Like, okay, let me say, in the house, because of my work, the nature of my work, as and when I needed help, I had people who helped me, who supported me. If my mother can't come, so if I've stayed with one house, my household that we've virtually adopted as our daughter for 8 years, 8 to 9 years now. And even whilst I'm here, she's still there helping us. And we've also seen her through school and all those things. So and we have to pay her so that she can also be comfortable. So as I said, if you want to pursue your career, it's up to you to pursue it. You communicate about it, and then you seek for help, not at the expense of the family. If in the end the help is not coming, and then maybe at a point you may have to even sacrifice your career for temporarily. I don't support the fact that you have to stay home permanently, but sometimes it may come a time you may have to sacrifice your career for a temporary time, so that you can support the family, especially when kids come in. The dimensions are totally different. So these are some of them. The process, you just have to organize yourself very well, get a supportive husband, and then if you need help, you also seek for the right help and trust God for his provisions as well. So I think this has been my secret.
Okay, thank you very much. If I can ask a personal question. Okay, question
Okay.
for me, a personal question. Most of us women here, let's say after graduation, you want to get married. How did you prepare to get married? Did you save up to contribute towards your wedding? Did you, there was a video talking about women buying their husband's rings and all that. Did you save to buy him his ring? What did you do to prepare?
Okay. When I completed school, right after my first degree, after service, I did my master's at Legon. So immediately I completed my second degree, then I got married. So at the time I even got married, I was not working. I just completed my master's and I got married. But I think the most important thing is the desire to get married. If you are ready to get married, and then you understand yourselves and you are committed, there will be a way out. There will really be a way. I think that's the first thing. Whether you are working or not, there will be a way out, because once you have decided that you want to marry, you will consciously say, no matter, even if you are not working, the little that you have, you will plan towards it. And you see that as you do it, you save gradually, you'll be able to make a headway. And if you're a Christian, you trust God for his provisions, and it will surprise you the kind of help that will come your way. I don't support the fact that the woman should, there are some basic things that the man should provide. If the man is not ready, don't push yourself on him, because I've been making this assertion this week on a local chapter, that I've been saying that the women should bargain. You should negotiate very well before you commit yourself into marriage. And these are some of the things you are not supposed to push yourself. If the guy cannot prepare, if you cannot buy the basic things, there are some things which are very primary. They are very elementary, and those ones, they are not negotiable. If he doesn't have his own place of abode, if he's not working, and you have to sponsor the wedding and all those things, please, you are heading towards a problem. But you can see that he has the means, but you have to come in and then support. There are some things you can do to support. That one, you can do it. But for you to buy the ring, and there are some things which are very basic that the men are supposed to do. Even if your money, you are even earning so much more than the man, so let him value you, let him cherish you. There comes a time in marriage that things grow bad, and you never know. Certain comments can even be made. You cry, no, was it no na miyewe, niana one are forcing our me, like those kind of things. So please, our ladies, let's put some value on ourselves. We can support, but we should have a limit to which we can support. Let the men value us. Let them feel that it's not that they are coming to buy you, but don't let them take us so cheaply or something. No, I wouldn't advise that. That is my personal opinion anyway.
Awesome.
Can I say something?
So you want to jump the line? We have a humble to page name. Please go ahead.
Matse.
And I'll be expecting the humble.
All right, thank you very much. Madam, thank you very much. Okay, one thing that I've also learned and understood is that everybody in your life, you have to make marriage as a requirement, not an option. So this is what I term as marriage being a requirement. As a lady or a woman, from your beginning, you understand that you are going to marry. So you have it at the back of your mind that I'm going to marry. Whether you are in school or you are not in school, you behave as a woman who, find herself in a level whereby she's preparing to marry. Okay, so whenever it meets you, whenever it gets to your doorsteps, you understand that I made it as a requirement and I have met it and I'm going to make good use of it. So this is the point. When I say marriage being a requirement, it's like you don't just accept or you don't settle for any low key. It's not that I've gotten to this temple and no one coming, so I have to just jump in. That is not the situation. And it's not that I've lived with this person and since I'm desperate for marriage, so I have to go and pay the dowry and other things. We have situations whereby women supposed to support. What, Gloria, you asked concerning people saying that a woman supposed to buy a ring or something. We are marrying each other because we've understood that two people come together. That is now what we understand. So as to maybe your wedding gown, your dressing, you are going to meet your husband, your groom. So how do you want to present yourself? At least if that way you can support the man, it's not wrong. But a situation whereby it is a mandatory for a man to provide is paying your dowry. You don't have to provide for that. Paying, I mean, that is your bride price, going to see your parents and your parents saying that I'm going to take 100 million. Irrespective of what it is, we expect that the man pays that amount of money. Whatever your parents required from the man, he's supposed to. But outside that, other things, we are going to party. The raw marriage is a situation whereby we go to meet your parent and your parent accept that I'm taking this from you as a man to give my daughter to you. So your wedding gown and all those things is after marriage. So if you have something that you can support the man with, the man cannot hold that against you. That you've supported, you bought your wedding gown, you bought this. Yes, it is not something you can confidently say, yes, so daddy, mommy, pride me up, give me something that I can be proud of. And marriage is something that you meet once in your lifetime. Even if you marry this time and you divorce to marry again.
Synopsis.
Okay, last point. Even if you marry this time.
30 seconds, please.
All right, thank you. Even if you marry this time and you divorce to marry again, you won't get it the way you had your first experience. So you cherish that and make it as a requirement, and no matter what it is, you are going to beat it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you got my question right. Is it, how do I even put this? Okay, we'll come back. Before then, Fifi.
Can I make a contribution on this particular thing?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
It's not that you are contributing to pay your dowry. That's not it. Like
surely.
You are preparing for marriage. For example, I may want to invest in, I like certain utensils, I may want to invest in that before I go get married. Those type of things. But you are not working. So are you going to ask your mom to buy that for you or what?
Oh, okay. Well, for me, I'm coming from the point where our abled mother was saying sometimes if the ladies contribute too much along the line, maybe it could be used against them like you contributed this. It is a fact. She said it very well. But I'm believing that in recent times, before you marry, just like our single lady said, you should know who you are marrying, although you may not know the person vividly. And you should be confident and have a good faith in who you are going to marry. So at that particular point, like you said, dowry there, or say manitia. But one of your contribution is that in recent times, it is up to you, the lady, also to say something to your parents in order not to take so much bride price. We are not selling the lady. We are honoring the lady. So that is one of the contribution even as a lady, because you and your parents will have a discussion and you should have that. So men should not be killed. Abranti for China and TM from Bono, 100 million. It's a contribution you are giving to the man. He should pay that. I have a lady here who I spoke to, is in one of the universities here. They were going to marry. She wanted to buy a land. And so I took the opportunity to talk to her. And she was telling me, oh, I want to buy the land as part of my contribution. I know my man, he's doing his best. We've come a long way. So, and then I'm buying some few things. You get me? Contributing financially, if the man is not up to that standard, have no fear that when you contribute, it will be used against you in the near future. Because it's been the same way when men do all the costs, take everything, even buy clothes for their in-laws, and it is still never used against them. It becomes an issue when after the marriage, attitude and other things go out of hand. Then people begin to feel aggrieved or agitated. Then these things come. So my sister, what I'll say is that as a lady, do your best. But then, like our auntie, our mother also said, the man must have a job doing to have at least something coming into the home. But do your best in modern times where we are marrying master's degree students, PhD students, and whatever it is. Don't let the man take all the burden. Let it be a healthy contribution and have a part to play. So you yourself, at the end of the day, can be proud that you contributed towards your marriage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're saying something my mom said. She said, also personal worry. You are ready for marriage when you know you can contribute. That's what she said. So, yeah. Francisca, I don't want to call you just yet because you already asked a question. Fifi from Wuhan.
Okay. Eben Nanjin, fantastic contribution. I love your contribution. But I want to go back to the cooking thing that was mentioned earlier. For me, I would say that cooking and cleaning is a basic survival skill for every human being. Whether you are a man or you are a woman, it's fundamental. We all need to learn it because at some point in time, your mom or your dad or anyone is not available to take you through those things. But in a home, I must say that for me, and even in our cultural context, and I prefer cultural context because we are Ghanaians, and there is no culture in Ghana that would smile to a woman who does not know how to cook. It is unacceptable for a Ghanaian woman and you say you don't know how to cook. Yes, also. Because these days, most of our men can actually cook. Most of our men. So for those who did not have the opportunity to come from homes where mothers would have to teach you, you have roommates, you have friends on campus, you went through school. As it has been said already, take it as an opportunity to develop these skills. These are basic survival skills because I must say that some men want wives that will be the first point of reference for their daughters. So if I am to have a daughter who is to refer to the mother in terms of career, in terms of education, in terms of handling the home, in terms of her spiritual life, she should be the first reference for my daughter. Now I will be in you can only boil egg. So that is my little contribution. Cooking for a Ghanaian woman is unacceptable. You have to know how to do it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Gloria, please. But Fifi, if you can cook, you can teach your wife, and then she continues from there. She builds on it.
Oh, Madam Anna Royal, let me tell you something.
Madam Gloria.
As said, it's different from the fact that you cannot prepare a certain recipe. You understand? I am a fanti, so probably you can't prepare fanti with fresh fish. And on your problem, it's not a problem. Probably you are a northerner. You can't prepare a certain recipe, which it's in my cultural background. It's different. I could teach you that. That is where learning and adjustment comes in. I could teach you, but the fact that in you don't know how to do cooking at all. You only have to order, and someone has to cook for you. A Ghanaian woman. We don't have to solve these things, so we have to tell people.
In that, during the courtship stage, you should identify all these before you commit yourself, because if you really courted and you communicated well, you would have known it at that stage before marrying her. So you have to. This is some of the shining your eyes, and then the being alert and bargaining and the negotiation that I was talking of.
Yeah, okay. I think what I will also want to say about this cookie, just as Fifi has said, when I was talking, I said that these are basic things that now, if these are the basic things that men are looking beyond, so which means it is something that every lady should know how to, because even men are learning how to do it. First, in the olden times, it was in our culture that is what a woman should have prior to entering the home. Now, men are expecting something different. We are expecting overboard. We want people that can help career-wise. So for cooking, it is basic. And I think my fancy guys here, just like myself, are just saying it all. And please, there are YouTubes, and I think just like Auntie Amor was saying, YouTube is there. Even before then, women try to learn some things. Because frankly speaking, even though I mean, at home, I learned how to do some basic fancy meals, but I learned certain things also from YouTube. So this is a new generation, a new dispensation. Let's go the extra mile as women, as ladies who want to settle at least. I mean, how will your home be when you are giving birth? Your daughter is around and it's only daddy doing it every day. It becomes problematic, or you are ordering it every day. It becomes problematic. So I think it's something that the ladies would have to kind of take upon themselves if they do not know how to do. To start now, just as Ms. Amwa said, just start now to learn something before even, I mean, this thing about marriage comes into mind.
Okay, thank you very much. I feel like this direction will take us, we'll circle around this topic and we may not move on. I guess case in point, when you are talking before you get to the marriage stage, if her knowing how to cook is number 1 or number 2 on your priority list, let her know. Work on that.
Yes.
We're talking about
Exactly.
people that are married. So that means you checked all those marks before you finally asked her to that stage. This is not the dating stage. So please, let's move on. Chef Ondeme, you haven't spoken, so I know you have issues with me. Please, the floor is yours. 1 minute.
Oh, me, I not get issue plus you, but we have to solve it. So my issue is me, Collins. I know how to cook very well, and my facial expression.
Tilapia.
It be so. My facial expression can't hide when I eat bad food. The first is that my facial expression is natural. I don't know how to change it. I've tried, but it can't change. So yeah. So with me, I've actually had problems with women, especially in China here on that. Because if you don't know how to cook, I'll try to teach you. If you respond to stimuli, fine. If you don't respond, Charlie. So with my issue, how do I not make my woman or my wife feel bad when it's a bad food? Thank you.
Okay. I think, yeah. Briefly, Mrs. Amwa, Abigail, why you didn't do Mempesa? So, yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, the Bible says that we should correct in love. So, and then it's also written that a gentle answer turns away wrath. So the way that you communicate it is very, very important. The way that you communicate it to her is extremely important. And so as Gloria rightly said, you should have noticed all those things during the courtship stage. And so you are talking about during the courtship stage. You talk to her gently. You talk to her gently. You should talk to her gently that, oh, not there. If you really love her, accept it that is her weakness. You see, in marriage, you not get everything 100%. There is this rule, we say 80-20 rule. You get 20% of the weaknesses, and then you should get about 80% of her strengths. So it can be her weakness. If you think that 20%, there is no way you can compromise on those ones, then all that we are saying that don't go, because you too, you have your 20%. She also has a 20%, and you are all trying to sacrifice and compromise for each other. So all that I will say is that correct in love. Be patient with her. If so far as she's ready to learn and to humble herself, correct in love. But before you commit yourself up to that stage, right at the courting stage, that's why I'm saying, I'm still emphasizing that before the courting stage is not for sex. My ladies, please, let's be vigilant. Don't allow the men to use you. He will sleep with you. Deep down within his heart, he knows that it's the food that he wants. But because something is pushing him to come for sex, he will not tell you. Then go and communicate with his friends that oh, this lady, the only man in Pemadi, and he just use you and then dump you and go and get somebody who can cook. So please, let's add value to ourselves. And then after adding the value to ourselves, let's court well so that we can avoid some of these problems in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Fiska, briefly.
Okay, thank you, Okom. Please, my question goes to Mr. Hagan. Please, Mr. Hagan, I know you had your expectations with regards to the roles of a woman before you chose Mrs. Hagan. So I want to know, what are some of the things you saw in her that you were comfortable that this woman can really help me?
Hey, this one, they're 10% now.
Fiska.
Okay. So yeah, I think we had a similar program at our chapter level, and I spoke about this. For me, the most important thing in a partner is respect, that they respect me. And when I say respect me, I think I've already explained it from the very beginning. I don't mean slavery for me or something, but if my wife is going to talk back at me when we are outside with other people, even when we are home, I wouldn't like it, because it's not, I grew up in a home that my parents would talk to each other in a very civil manner. And so this is what I wanted. It's really what I wanted. And actually, I'll tell you the truth that, well, maybe you can't see me, but I'm actually a very short person. You can probably see it in the poster that my wife is taller than I am. So I'm a short guy. And it's also why I keep my beard, because usually when I take off my beard, people are like, oh, you're 18 years or something like that, you know. So, but I have had a lot of people look down on me, especially when I came to China. And really, and especially, I really don't mean any disrespect, but especially our African ladies have done this a lot to me. It was actually what sort of drove me away from that. You know, because they look at me and it's like, you know, right away, oh, Sakwawe dear, you know, small boy or something. And I've had a lot of disrespectful gestures from a lot of women. Not that I impose myself on anyone, but really, even when I'm asking simple questions or something like that, and it is after they come to know me and they come to know who I am, that, oh, you know, hey, yeah, you know, and this woman, I of all the women I know, has been someone who has always respected me from the very first day. And for me, that was so attractive. It was what led me to become friends with her. And while we were friends, she respected me. She really respected me. And it was what drove me to begin to ask some questions. So for me, respect is the first thing, that I would want someone who respects my opinion, who would listen to me, who would listen to what I have to say, and then would also contribute their voice as well. Secondly, that, of course, you know, the person has to be able to do, to be able to be a wife, domestic activities and all that, you know, it's important. But you know something, I think I'll say this here, maybe a lot of women don't know. There is this thing we call love and respect. Okay, so the man is called to love, the woman is called to respect. What a lot of women don't know is that men don't really, or let me say, most men don't care much about touchy-feely, lovey-dovey things. You know, it's not what men call love. A man sees a woman loves him when she is showing respect. I am in my house, we are at home, you know, and my friends have come to visit me. And then you come and say, hey, your dirty clothes, you just left them like that. You know, like before everyone, you talk to your husband like that. It's many men, or most men, would never settle for that. Men see love as respect. When a woman respects his man, that is how the man is seeing that she loves him. And the woman wants, something more apart from that. The woman, wants to be touched and all that. So the woman wants, something like. Then the woman knows that okay, the man loves me. So men and women see love in a bit of a different way. And research was done, and they found out that 80% of men said they would prefer that their wives respect them even if they didn't love them. This is probably, we could say, it's a kind of a universal thing. So that is why it's important to me. Next thing is that, of course, she should be a woman who would want to keep her house clean, cook. And my wife, she does all that. Even before I married her, I knew she was like that, because at church I would see her, do everything, take care of the children. We are having a program, she's organizing things, she's putting this in place, and she's the kind of person who is so genuine. It's so, she's a very genuine person, and so it was very easy for me. And having known her for so long, I knew that she couldn't be faking it for 8 years, being nice. But that's a very big record. But being married to her, I'm confident now that she wasn't faking it. But these are some of the things that were of course, and of course I will not lie about this. Every man, especially when you like your mother very much, you want to see, some nice qualities that you saw in your mother also being reflected in your wife. And honestly, yes, I saw a lot of them. So I knew that she would click with my mother. So, that's a big win for me, that she clicks with my mother. And my mother has a pet name for her, and they talk a lot. They talk more than I even talk with my mother. So it's also nice that I knew that she would be able to talk with my mom. In fact, there was one lady that I was talking with another guy about. I was like, this lady, I will not consider her. And the guy was like, she's going to argue with your mother. So like, right away, me and the other guy, we knew that if we choose this woman, she would definitely have a lot of arguments with our mothers or whatever. But ladies, this is important. Men want to be respected. It's not, if you love the man and you don't respect him, he's really, it's really, yeah, he doesn't feel loved. And for me, this was a priority. There were other priorities. She has to be committed to her career as well. I want a lady who wants to pursue her career, who has her dream and she wants to pursue it. Because I grew up from a home that had high achieving women. And so, I want my wife to also be there. But it doesn't mean I am looking for someone who has already achieved it. My uncle, when my uncle got married, he was just a common teacher. His wife was a medical doctor. Let me say 20 years down the line, my uncle is now a reverend professor, reverend professor doctor. And my auntie is now a professor doctor. And it's nice that, my auntie really worked hard and, really supported my uncle. And he also worked hard and supported them. They are now both professors. And my uncle told me, you're not looking for a woman who is fully developed. You're looking for a woman that you can also invest in her. And so I have my wife here, and I'm blessing her. I am telling her that, I want to support you. What else do you want to do? She already has her degree and her medical degree and all that. And, okay, what's the next step? And I want to invest in her life and help her to become that high achieving woman that she also wants to be. She wants to work. So I know I could say a lot, but I'll just end it here. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Sam, briefly.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gloria, for the opportunity. Now, this is my question. Our ladies sometimes use their education they are receiving to tell us that when we enter marriage, because of their status right now, everything is equal. It's becoming equal. Because you go to work, I go to work. You contribute, I contribute, and I ask myself, what is your contribution? Because we all know where the money of women go after we all receive our salaries. But they say that they contribute and we also contribute. So everything is becoming equal. Now my question is, what is the role of an educated lady, or how should our ladies see the education that they've received to branch them? How should they see themselves in the marriage that we are entering into? Is it to make them equal with us, or is to let us develop the marriage together? Thank you very much.
This is open to any of the panelists.
Can I come in?
Finally.
Okay, thank you for the question, Bro Sam. Actually, I stand corrected, but then I think marriages, okay, there are probably 3 types of marriages, okay? We have the Western marriage, from where this comes, the 50-50 stuff comes, okay, because we see that's what they are doing. And we have the cultural marriage, okay, what we know as Ghanaians. And then we have the religious marriage. I would have called it a Christian marriage, but then we have Muslims here, we have traditionalists here, okay. Tradition and culture are not the same. They might be similar, but they are not the same. You get it? So it depends on what type of marriage you are going in for. Now, should you go in for the Western type of marriage, okay, being that the 50, then you know that the 50-50 mindset is what the lady has, all right? But then should you go in for the, I'm a Christian, okay, so I'll say, you go in for the Christian type of marriage, and you know that you are going in for a Proverbs 31 person, and you are going to be the Ephesians 5 man. You get it? And with the Proverbs 31 woman, okay, she knows that, look, no matter my level of education, no matter where I climb up to, the man is the head of the family. And that is simply because God says so. All right. She knows that God is the head in the family, and then the man is an institution. So there's supposed to be a leader. Okay, so the man is the leader, and then I come. So no matter how educated, no matter how beautiful she is, no matter how rich she is, she knows that in the plan of God, if I am a Christian, and as a Christian, I'm going according to what God says, then the man, I'm supposed to submit to the man. And the man is supposed to provide for the family if you are going for the Christian way. That doesn't mean that, as Auntie Adjoa said, that the woman cannot support. Even with the Proverbs 31 woman, she was supporting. She was making best spreads, she was selling, she was buying land, she was doing all those kind of stuff. Okay, so you support, but then the basic idea is I'm supposed to submit to the man. Submission, as Auntie Adjoa initially said, is not that, okay, boss, you greet the man like the man is like a military man or something like that. So no, it's we are equal, but then I willingly, okay, the translation will be like willingly bring myself under submission. Willingly, I'll say that, okay, right now we are at a tie, so you just go, you take the lead, okay, and I submit to you. So it's not a matter of 50-50. It's Christian marriage is 100%, all right? You love, the Bible says, normally we quote and we go like, okay, woman submit, when you go to the Colossians chapter 3, okay, from the 18 down, woman submit and man love. But then we forget to read from Colossians chapter 3, verses 1. Okay, which tells you to love, even before the marriage thing, you being siblings, as in sisters, you being friends, to love, to submit one to another, to take care of one another, to be kind, to be humble. All these things come before even the marriage issue. So when you are friends, when you are dating, throughout those stuff, you actually go through all those processes before we come to the submission, where the Hagans made us understand that, look, it's not like we are supposed to submit, you are not supposed to submit, but then that is the weakness. So it was kind of like hitting the point as at Colossians chapter 3, verse 18 to 19. So it will tell you that it's not 50-50, it is 100. You are supposed to give yourself to the person, just as Christ gave himself for the church. And that was a total sacrifice. It was 100%. Christ first loved us even before we loved him. He didn't expect anything, which would have been 50%. He gave it all. So it's not a matter of 50-50. All right, like I'm supposed to do this, then the man is supposed to do this. And if he doesn't do this, then I ball. And if he does this, then I'm happy. That makes your love kind of conditional, but it's supposed to be the Christ kind of love, okay, 100%. And you are supposed to submit one to another, and then life goes on. Thank you.
Hi.
People should preach.
Gloria, can I add?
Yes, please. We have to be watching our time too, because we're almost out.
Okay. Okay. The question is this question: what I want to add, in fact, from all the points that our men have raised, it's very clear that you don't just want any ordinary man, you want career women. But the question I want to ask you that what are you also willing to do to support the women, the career women? Because women are not superheroes. Women are not superheroes. It appears that our men want, most men, that's what especially the traditional African man, want the woman to be a career woman, and then also at the same time she wants her to work, and then also at the same time perform the full duties of the home. And I don't know how that is going to be possible. So in my speech, I said that if you want your wife to do that, for her to be able to be very effective, that you have to empathize with your wife. If you really love her, you not let her, you not close from work and then come and watch television, sit in the chair. At least you can help with the children's homework. It's not necessarily going to cook, but there are some petty things you can do to support her so that she can also do some other things to make the home run. It's a partnership. So if you want your wife to be very effective both at home and then at work, much of it depends on you, our men. The times have changed. Let's accept it that we cannot marry our wives like our fathers married our mothers. Those times they were just suffering silently. And for the sake of the children, they will say, oh, okay, yet they'll be dying inside. There is no happiness. We know it. And most men were just dictators. Yes, sir, master, when you come home, there is no love. Most of us here will admit the way we relate with our mothers, it's just few fathers that we can really go to them and then talk to them hardly like. And it's all because of the way they were marrying our mothers. So I don't know if that is the kind of home that you want to run. Having said that, what I want to say is that our women, you see, in life, it's not all about career, it's not all about. What about after giving birth and then you have your children all right, getting all the monies in the world, and then your children are drug addicts, your children are armed robbers. You see, so at a point, somebody must compromise. And when we're able to do that, the rewards are so good. Like, I don't know, it's so satisfying that it cannot be bought. The roles are never 50-50. You can, even in abroad, from my studies, UK, US, even in Sweden, and then I think Sweden has a very concrete law for women that even housework is wages are paid. Even the still in the US, for instance, even though most the women are trying, we are pushing for the men to support. So it is documented that the women are supporting the home. About 60% of the house chores are performed by the women. So we are still advocating. The advocacy is going on, but much of it depends on us. The home, the maintenance of the home depends on us. In the end, when you push, and then you get all the money and the home is destroyed, you're going to use that same money to also correct it. So at a point, there should be a compromise. So it's to both of us. Our men support. If you get a girlfriend, that is good. You think you love her, support her. Let's put aside this mentality, this archaic mentality that my father was fetching water. My mother was fetching water for my father. So you too, you have to fetch water for me. It's not that we won't do it, but let's put aside some of these archaic mentalities, because you want the women to work and then come home with money. You want, if and the guy who asked the question, I don't know what you mean by where does our monies go. But even if the woman does not, I wonder how many women wouldn't support, even if they support indirectly. The monies that men give, there is no way it can, even the most wicked woman will still support the home. It will, she still supports. So
Yeah, I
women
understand.
really support home. And if you get a good wife, most wives, we run joint accounts with our husbands. We build properties together. Yes. If you are
joint
into marriage,
account,
Please, guys, please let her finish.
if you are not into marriage and you are sitting afar, you may think so. But when you really ask people who are, that is how most women are running. We have joint accounts. Me, for instance, right from the beginning, we have joint accounts. We account, we know who goes, who signs and all those things. And it's all about communication, understanding, and then trusting ourselves. So please, let's support each other. If you want to marry, let's follow some of these basics and there'll be peace in the home. Please. But women, for the sake of, that is what our parents have been, our mothers did for us. We are advocating, we are still pushing the men, we are negotiating with them. But our culture and our cultural setting is said that it will take some time. Things have improved, but it will still take more time. But when it comes to the children and the welfare in the home, let's put in, do less sacrifice. It will pay off one day. That is the personal advice I would give.
Okay, thank you so much. Because of time, we'll allow people who haven't asked questions to go. So, iPhone. The user iPhone. Okay. Felix.
Okay, thank you very much. So the issue of women in their money and all that, I think that, well, for me, I'll beg to differ. I had a work colleague and she told me that she would not use a peso of her money at home. And this is the same lady that the husband, aside the work that she was doing, had given her money to do other businesses as well. And she said even salt, she will not buy it. Okay, so the issue of joint accounts and all that,
It's relative. It's not everyone.
God bless you, my brother.
Guys, please stay muted when it's not your turn to talk.
You would have a lot of our women having joint accounts. There's also one friend of mine who told me that at the end of the month, he only prays that whatever he receives is enough for the family. If the wife comes to tell him that this is what I got, praise be to God, because they don't do it. Only a few of them will do that. So the same way that women are expecting that men should help them with the cooking and all that, I think that they should also go to the point of support, because times have changed. And so these things would have to be looked at again. If not, then that's where the problem will come in. And then also sometimes I think that the men are willing and ready to help, but it gets to a point where now the women would want to make it look like that's your thing, like do it. And most men do not take kindly to that. So I think that going forward, we should all learn from these things. And if we really want the marriage to work, then we have to compromise to make certain things work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Looking in the list, I hear somebody talking.
Yes, just 1 minute. I really, what I would say is that I'm seeing there's a worry on both sides of the man. But what I would say is that, look, our ladies, you have so much power that you have relegated and you are not using, and that is what is bringing out all these things. I always refer to this recent times where we have ladies who are career women and they have master's degrees and PhD degrees. You are well informed, you are well educated, you are making enough money. So what is the problem? Let me ask you a question. we usually dress for, how do you call it, for the office, right? You have office wear. Sometimes the only time your husband see you so superb and fantastic is when you're wearing a dress for a wedding, for a church and this thing. So your attractiveness then becomes for the public and not for your husband. Now, some of these, sometimes we are in the home and all our wives and the ladies wear is something that when the pastor is coming, they will have to change their clothes again. You get me? So what I'm saying is that why don't you find a way to get the attentions of the men now to be supporting you? Why don't you look at what these slave queens and the other things are doing? Always on point, always having nice things to wear. So in your home, you know your husband is coming from work or something. Charlie, you should have some nice killer dress, like the old movie said, for your eyes only, for your husband. Look, he'll be sitting in the sofa and be peeping you, and every now and then, he wants to be with you. Rather than you wearing clothes simply because you are at home, he wouldn't want to be at home. My wife was cooking right now. I have to bathe the kids. You get me? Now they are eating. We are willing to support. You get me? But both sides have to change the game. Now, like our honorable president said, there are ladies who have the negative thoughts already. But then there are also positive, there are ladies who have positive thoughts. So what you do is that in the marriage, there should be projects. You get me? That everyone knows where their contribution is going. The lady is earning 10,000. The man is earning 10,000. Okay. At the end of the day, there should be an agreement that, oh, my lady, okay, you have ladies' needs. So can you contribute 5,000 to a family project? Now, I'm the man also, I also have some accoutrements to do. Can I contribute 5,000? So like our honorable mother said, there is a family account that has 10,000, and there is a family project that everybody knows that we are building a house. You get me? You, the lady, the house you are going to live in as the queen, the man is going to live in that house also. You have your extra 5,000 to do your personal issues. A man of my type will be so much appreciative that the woman is helping me to build a house and a home. Why wouldn't I want to be supportive in my home or helping there in some ways? You get my points now, everybody. I'm talking from both points where our mother spoke and where our president also spoke right now, where the president said the lady doesn't want to contribute, and then other presentations also have to come. So what I'm saying now is that we are well educated to make our personal decision. And let me tell you, everybody, marriage and love is a choice. It's not automatic. I choose to love my wife. I choose to love my family despite their shortcomings or whatever. We have a song we sing in our home. My wife just sang it. Can you sing, my wife? She's laughing. Water soup. I don't like water soup. Look, when we began, it wasn't all that perfect. You understand my song now? They say here. Sometimes it's there and sometimes there was a time I drank soup and then I developed this issue. That soup was what? But we made fun of the soup. And as of today, you see, we are making fun of it publicly. So when my wife also cooks and sometimes it doesn't go well and I'm saying it, I can say it in a funny way and something she accepts it. She also improves on it. So please, let us make a choice and find a balance in all these lectures. Let us not be heckling each other, because if you learn well, your marriage will get better than somebody. If you decide to stay a woman, master, your marriage will go worse. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Fafa. Madam Charity.
Hello. Good afternoon from Ghana. Thank you, Mr. If I remember your name correctly, Eben. You've spoken well, and I had a question to ask, and you elaborated a little on that. But then I'll still talk about it. My issue here was that anytime any young lady wants to go into marriage, we try our possible best to talk to those experienced, those who are already in it. Oh, I want to marry. How is marriage life like? And everything you get, anytime you ask the question, the answers you get are, oh, marriage is nice, marriage is sweet, marriage is that, marriage is this. They never tell you the challenges in marriage. Even with your parents, they'll tell you it's a good thing. Marriage is a good thing. Well, the Bible says you have to do this, you have to do that. But the challenges and the reality on the ground, nobody tells you until you go into it. And with my experience, the little ones, friends that I've witnessed their marriages and everything, they come up and they tell you, hey, when you're going to marry, mommy will tell you marriage is nice, marriage is beautiful, but nobody is telling me that if you go into it, these are the things you are going to face. We know the protocols of marriage. We know what you have to do. You have to follow that. You have to do this. We understand you have to have children. You have to be respectful and all that. But what's the reality on the ground? I want to ask Mr. and Mrs. I don't remember the name, but the couple celebrating their 10 years anniversary. I would like to ask them, their first year in marriage, can they share their challenges? I mean, the real challenges, the challenges they had in marriage, practically, the worst ones. Can they please share a little with us? Thank you.
Is this someone? Those moments when your husband was the last person you wanted to see.
Okay. I think what I would say is that people don't tell you because marriages are different. That's what I said from the beginning. So what my challenges may be, what may be challenging to me may not be a challenge to the other person. So in that case, unless you ask that person, what are the challenges that, and you know, in a marriage setting, yeah, we don't wash your dirty linen in public, so you don't easily come out unless you are very close and maybe you push and push and push before people will tell you. But for me, my husband, before we married, I knew when he goes to work, he comes home late. And in their family, they had a tendency, right from here, I knew that he could put on a lot of weight. So I told him from the beginning that when he comes from work after 6, I'll not serve him food. I'll not give him solid food. I can give him soup or drink or something. And he didn't like it. So we fought about, we were always fighting about it. Like, because I felt that I was helping him, because with my knowledge in nutrition, it's not good to eat after a certain time and all those things. But if we didn't see it that I was helping him, so it was always a confrontation. At a point, I gave up because if you are helping someone, the person does not see that you are helping him. I left him, and I remember before I went to give birth to my second born, I think when I went to give birth to my second, I went to my parents. When I came, he had put on a lot of weight because a family friend of ours came to stay with us, and that's why she was always feeding him money. And he because he also wanted to eat, he would eat. Because he didn't, so you see, and he put on so much weight, and I told him, and he was never able to go back. So some of these things. Then we have our financial differences. I am somebody, he buys, I'm not stingy, but I manage a lot. Like, I plan my things. That's how I should put it. He too is the direct opposite. So at a point, he calls me Mbogo Hima. That's why he calls me, because everything that he comes up, we have to deliberate upon it and ask him questions. And before, if I think that is not good, I'll suggest to him that it's not the best. And then we also have sex differences. Men, sometimes you come, he wants sex, you are not ready, you'll be angry. It's everywhere. These things, when you meet all married people, we have a certain group that we are about 5 couples who are married, and we meet once a month. And the day we had this thing, everybody was saying it was the same thing, a general rule. So we saw that, oh, after all, it's not only unique to us. So these are some of the differences. But you know, when the foundation is strong, no matter the differences, you'll be able to, out of love, you'll be able to overcome them. You communicate about it, and then what were challenging to you, me now, some of these things, it doesn't bother me. If he wants the food, I'll give it to him, and then he eats. At the point that he sees that now, what my wife was saying had sense in it. So because of that, I'll not eat. Then so these are some of them. We ask for the challenges, they are there, but each stage and then the challenges that will come, and then each marriage and then the challenges that some people may not have children, some people will have. We've had so many challenges. At a point, he had to lose his job, unplanned, out of nowhere. And the fact is not that you are supportive, you are willing, but because of the way men are, the fact that like he's not even working, it's a whole burden. It's not that there is no money, there is money at home, but even how to manage that thing, and they are all unplanned. So these are some of the challenges that are likely to crop up. And when these challenges come, it is the character that's why we say that you don't marry beauty. Because at that point, your nails will not save you. Neither will your eyelashes or your lipstick. It's the inner tenacity that you have that will save you and your foundation. So I think these are some of the challenges that practical. I think I've been practical enough. I don't know. I've been practical enough.
Thank you so much.
Hello. Hello.
Who said hello?
Hello.
Because I see so many mics open now.
Sorry, it's mine. It's mine. I just want to add a few words there to what Mrs. Fakan said. Please, I think that you have to also talk to the right people. I mean, don't talk to people who are going to tell you all the nice things. We spoke with people who could be very sincere with us, and they told us difficulties and all that. So these were things that we actually, we started working on. So yes, talk to people, and don't expect to have a perfect partner. I think that coming into marriage thinking that you're going to have a perfect partner is a very dangerous idea. When you come into marriage knowing that you both have issues, then the first thing you should do is that you ask yourself, how can I work on myself to help my partner? And you have to communicate as well. Truly be sincere in your communications, especially during the time when you are, I know we're not talking about courting, but when you are courting, don't try to make the partner happy. My brother called me, he said he and his fiance, they are going to talk about, they are going through a certain book, they are answering questions about, some of the things that they will experience in marriage. And when he told me that, I said, this is a good thing. But I said, but please don't try to give her the best answers. Because once you try to give her the best answers, you never really find out yourself. You don't find out your weaknesses. But when you are very, very sincere with her, and you tell her, if this happens during our marriage, I'm going to get angry. You begin to prepare her heart. You begin to prepare her. And this was some of the things that we actually had a lot of discussion on. By the time we got married, these were issues that we had already dealt with psychologically, personally, we had dealt with them. And it wasn't, they are not issues that we had to deal with in the marriage. But talk to people who will be playing with you. Talk to people who will tell you, the truth on the ground. And everyone has their own stories. And like Mrs. Samoa says, don't expect that someone's problems will be your problem. But please be willing to be responsible for who you are and for the baggage you carry. We all carry baggages. At the end of the day, you know that you have to deal with your baggage, and this is something you have to work on together. So this is what yeah.
I think I'll just give a little bit practical examples that I also face before we get married. I myself I'm a person who likes to touch, and spending quality time is my love language. So, but my husband, it's like the least of his priority. So we struggle a lot about that before we got married. So I really I struggled a lot during that time, because I know that we are moving towards a marriage, and I was like, will I be able to stand this person who will not give me the touch lovey-dovey thingy that I expected? I wonder, and I really contemplate a lot about this thing. But I spoke to him, we communicate about it. I told him that this is my love language. If you don't do it, then it will be very hard for me to feel loved. And so he was like, okay, so tell me what to do. And I was like, what? Because we don't talk about it. you just expect about it. But then I also push myself to tell him, like, okay, when we go out together, he doesn't like to show it to people. They say, okay, if you don't like it, then it's fine. Or so we try to work out on these things. Like maybe, for example, he said that he doesn't want to show public affection. Yeah, public affection. He doesn't want it. And so I was like, okay, but then it's gonna be hard for me. So like we have to adjust on these things. We talk about it before we get married, because otherwise our marriage will be like very hard and difficult times if he will not learn how to really speak my love language, and I will not learn how to speak his love language. Then it will be a chaos, because if you know us, we are very different. He like we are really just two different poles, and we just have to really work together and communicate on these things even before we get married, so that you prepare yourself what you're going to face into your marriage. And then it doesn't mean that once you talk about it, it's going to fix completely before you get married. You just have to continue remind him again, hey, you didn't do it, you didn't say I love you today, and stuff like that. So I always tell him, and we learn to communicate better, and that way it becomes easier for us to go through this journey together. So I think that's what I want to add.
Well, thank you so much. I kind of wanted to put Fafa on the spot, because you're also married. And with the question you asked, what has been your experience so far? What is the nitty-gritty detail that you felt like wasn't being pushed out, which made you ask that question? Fafa?
Okay. Thank you, Gloria. I was expecting you were going to do this. Okay, you actually got me on the spot. So I just had a little petty issues, which was like you being the first time living with your husband, and there were so many things that the kind of maybe practically, let's say toilet seat. You know, most guys wouldn't want to put the toilet seat back on after peeing. I had a problem with that. You come back from the gym, you come back from work, and well, they will tell you they are tired. Socks go somewhere. Maybe you have a place to keep them, and then at the end of the day, you see it somewhere else. Maybe for the first 2-3 months, you will tolerate it. The 4th, 5th seat, you see it to be a problem. And now you have to start talking about it. Honey, please, when you come back, try and get your socks here. Try and get the toilet down when you pee. And he will say, okay, it will be done for the 1st week, 2nd week, the 3rd week, you come back and then you are seeing the same thing again. It's not pissing you off, but then you try to tolerate it. You talk about it again. Then another time you come and then you tell yourself, okay, I'm tired. let me start doing it myself. And it becomes a routine. And the little I've learned too is that when you don't put it right, and it becomes a routine, it becomes your duty, you the woman, that becomes your duty for the rest of God knows how long you are going to be together. So in the beginning, it's quite hard, really, really hard to say, I wouldn't say to change the man, but then kind of try to put him in his place, as in try to talk to him about one thing on over and over and over again. And second, financial issues come in. Maybe someone like me, it has always been me work, taking care of myself, using my money for me. But now I am with my husband. I can't just expect to. He wants to get everything for you. But you also have the money you want to. But he tells you that I'm the man of the house. Allow me to do that. He comes back. He sees that okay, Tiro is done. You've bought a new Tiro. I told you to allow me to be doing this. And I also had a problem with it because I like to take care of myself. And here is a caring husband who wants to be doing everything for you, but you still want to be doing stuff for yourself. And he gets angry with that. It's also, you might see it not to be a problem, but it's a problem. But then also a time comes that he starts doing everything for you and you relax, and then one day, okay, things start going the other way, and then he start asking you, well, you have the money, at least buy some stuff when you're coming home. You know, then you'll be asking yourself, this is something I was doing before. How come now it's becoming, you are now making it a problem? It's sexy, but then at the end of the day, you see it to be a challenge in it, and then you get so worried. So I just wanted the petty things that happens at home. And then you fight over it and then try to make amends. I think that is all I would like to talk about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The little bit that I may like to add is that I feel there are some things that we can discuss before we enter into marriage. For example, if you look at the Higgins when they were speaking, Gabby was saying something. She said, this is my love language. And I explained it to him that this is my love language. You know, for example, I like some things done a certain way. My friend Adjoa is sitting next to me. She thinks I'm OCD, but I don't think I am OCD. Except I like some things done a certain way. I like to arrange some things a certain way. And when I come and you've shifted it, I may not feel all that comfortable. So when she comes to my room, she knows that. She knows, because I feel like if you move it, when I come and you didn't tell me you moved it, I wouldn't know where you put it. You know, and then I get confused and I'm looking for things and I can't find them, and it's like as if you want to mess up my whole day. But that's me. I feel like I would. Oh, you're asking what OCD is? It's obsessive compulsive disorder, but I don't have a disorder. It's because we're medical students, so that's yeah. So I feel like something like that. I would want to explain. Let's say you come to my house. We get to the kitchen. This is where I want to keep my spoons. Honey, this is where the spoons are. You know, maybe I would have to go, let's say, above, and if you miss the spoons, I would come and arrange them or something. But some things can be discussed before. The most important one, say, and you know that this thing is my pet peeve. What? Discuss it. And the thing about finances too, I feel like we would have to learn about that before we get into marriage. You need to actually sit down and discuss. Okay, you are working. I'm also working. This is how much you make. This is how much I make. Now, in the home, we have electricity bills. We have these bills. We have these bills. Okay, we would like to save. I'm a Christian, so okay, we take this much out for tithes. This much out goes for saving. Of course, we have family to take care of. We have ourselves to take care of. I would like to sit down and talk with you and plan these things out. You get it? So some things like that I feel like we can discuss beforehand so that they don't become a huge problem when we get into marriage. Sam, you've been disturbing me backstage. Please ask your question.
Thank you very much, Honorable. This is going to be my last question. One thing that we've heard again is that don't say much about what happened in the olden days concerning our grandfathers, grandmothers, their time is past and all those things, right? And sometimes our ladies say that our grandmothers and our mothers compromised because they were not enlightened so much about what our fathers were doing to them. I have a different view about it, that they did everything because maybe, as Honorable Hagan's wife said, it was their love language. Maybe their love language was act of service, where our mothers feel like, let me do this for this man, and they will feel satisfied or something. Now, I want to ask a question and our panel, can you give instances where you compromise to do something for your wife or husband that in the real sense were considered nasty? Like according to what we describe now, people thought it was kind of in that quote that our young people, we put it now, oh, it's not fair, it's not fair. But at what point did you compromise to do something for your spouse that made the person happy, and how did you feel after doing that? Thank you very much.
Sam, do you want a particular panelist to answer your question, or is just open?
They're married only. They're married. I think they're all married. So yes, I like all of them.
Not all of them. You see, late comer. Also, we are dropping home bow. Abigail is dating. Dean is also his fiancé is here. You know, we are.
Okay. They're married. They're married. Yeah, I like their married responses.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll take Mrs. Samoa first. Mrs. Samoa.
Hello, Gloria. I don't. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. DJ Sam. He's not there.
Yes, mommy.
Okay, we've met here again after fighting with me.
Oh,
anyway, nothing comes to mind, but I think my being here is a huge sacrifice my husband has made, and I know to some people it doesn't make sense. Why should you leave your wife to come, leave you, and then travel for years? And most men wouldn't do that. I know a lot of colleagues at work who had scholarships. Their husband didn't allow them to go, US and all those kind. Their husband said, choose between your marriage and your career. So they didn't go. So I think for that, for me, for myself, I think the question came just too suddenly, so I don't remember much. But I think he allowing me to come to school whilst he's there nursing and all the everything, so many things. I can't everything. It's a huge sacrifice. I know somebody will just be thinking that all shows that he's not going out. I trust him. I know that he will wait for me. That is why I came. So that one alone is a huge sacrifice that he has made for me.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. So, well, I don't really know. For us, one of the ways I just want to maybe correct an idea here. When we look at our parents' marriages and maybe our grandparents' marriages, we are not. What we rather see is, are there things we can learn from them? I think that if they have been successful in their marriage, then definitely they're doing something right. Then we can learn from them. And so then the first thing is, like, we talk about our parents' marriage a lot. You know, what did they do that was wrong, and what did they do that was right, and how can we learn from them. And I think that, you know, what you do in marriage must become your, it must become your nature. Because for instance, and I say this, we actually just thought about it. I have never cooked in a marriage before, you know, and I and not that I don't want to, or I demand that my wife does it, but she does it, you know, she just does it, you know. When during this COVID thing, I've been working a lot, you know, trying to write papers and all that, and sometimes I get lost in my work, and she just comes, you know, instead of coming to worry me or something like that, she just comes and brings me like fruit, like, you know, blended juice, or maybe like some food. Oh, I've prepared food for you. Maybe you can take a pause and eat. So maybe I'll say that is like the idea from maybe something that we wouldn't want to do. Or, you know, she just brings the food to me, and she's like, I think you can take a break and have your lunch or something like that, kind of serving me with the bowl and everything. But then she doesn't see it as that she is under some compulsion to do it or something like that. It's just that, you know, she just wants to make my life easy so that I can work. And in the same way, when I also have a chance to do that, I do it. And unfortunately, I don't have much examples on my, but like you know, she has done the laundry, and I don't wait for her to, you know, to go and put it, you know, on the line. You know, I will go and take the credit and, you know, put it, you know, dry it up for her, you know, or something like that. Or maybe the toilet seat, I try to put it in the right way for her, you know. But it's I think this has to become our second nature. We learn from our parents, and what they did right, we do as well. What we feel they didn't do right, we talk about it, and we learn. People are commenting on the juice. I mean, not store-bought juice, but actual juice, you know. Blended fruit juice. So it takes some work to do, but I'm just saying that it has to become your second nature. That you serve the other person. Someone spoke about equality, and I want, if I may correct an idea here, the idea of equality makes us think 50-50. But once you begin to do that, then it's as if you begin to demand equality from your partner, which I think is a very dangerous idea. When you demand your partner to treat you with equality, you are heading for a very, very rough path. What you should rather do is to look beyond yourself and see, okay, she's all that I have. And marriage takes work. If you want a good marriage, you can have a good marriage. If you don't want a good marriage, everything can annoy you, and you fight over everything. There are some things that we feel it's not worth fighting over. So I just tell her, can you just do this thing this way next time? And yeah, if she forgets again, I'm like, honey, you forgot to do this. Can you please do it again? And we will forget over and over and over. We have to expect that we will forget over and over. So if she forgets, I remind her. If she forgets, I remind her. And it's not worth fighting over. You know, there are bigger fights. We will save them. But for now, some small things, let's not fight over it. Let's just correct each other with love, and it makes our life easier. I don't want to go to bed angry with my wife. I want to enjoy my marriage. Okay, thank you. Okay.
I think probably I was thinking we kind of discussed a lot about it. The people say that serving and all of that thing. Some of us might think that, oh, it's irrelevant. People, like women nowadays, are independent. They can do what they want. They can pursue their career and all of these things. But also, let's not forget that. For me myself, this is a personal thing. Yeah, we all agree that our marriages are different. So for me myself, I understand that my husband's love language is an act of service. So I do it because I want to show love to him. So that way we kind of like exchange. I don't feel that that's something that, oh, it's irrelevant, you don't have to do this anymore. No, but because you want to show love to him and that's how he sees it, so you make effort to do it. And then it's not something that you compromise, but it's something that you do because it just flows out of you. It's just like what you want to do. Marriage should be good, and it is good, and we should enjoy it, and we are going to enjoy it for the rest of our lives. So why not start now while we've not been married for a long time, but at least like as early as we can, we start to do that. And so yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. Just one more minute. um, Maybe some of you may be thinking, okay, these guys, they haven't been through anything, so like maybe like it's. But you know, we actually when we started, which is something we didn't expect, when we started, we had a bit of financial difficulty, and in fact, for instance, her job, she wasn't paid for like 3 months. I also wasn't paid for about 3 months, which was really strange. We were working, but somehow we did not receive our pay for 3 months each. And it was a difficult time, you know, because we have to pay rent, we have to pay bills, we have to eat. You know, when she's going to work, she has to take the subway, you know, and this is something that can cause friction. Financial difficulties can cause friction. But you know, you have to talk about it, and you have to be real with each other, you know. Like and as a man, personally, I feel the burden, I feel the responsibility to support my family. I want to make sure that my wife and myself, we are doing well, you know. So we did experience these things, but it's not her fault that she hasn't received her money. It's not my fault that I haven't received. And we were also thinking, how can we bless our parents? We want to send money to our families, you know. And it's, you just have to talk about these things, really talk about it, and then decide, okay, this is what we are going to do. Let's try to do it this way. Let's understand each other. And God was good. At the right time, she got her pay, I got my pay. We could pay our rent. You know, we were happy about it. We rejoiced in it. And my wife is really good at like managing, you know, like buying things. You know, like she can say, oh, this really cheap option that I am usually the one who's saying, okay, just buy. You know. But she can really look for the cheapest thing. It's like, this one is really cheap, let's go for that one. And it's, you know, you make compromises. You cannot get the best thing all the time. You make compromises and you enjoy it together. Laugh over it, like Brother Eben was saying. Some of the things you just laugh over it. And
yeah, because for the financial thing also, I know myself that I can't keep a huge amount of money, so all the huge amount of money will go to him. So he will divide it nicely, and I will just deal with the small things and all of that. So we both know our own self first, and then we both try to communicate it better. Because I mean, if he deals better with a huge amount of money or saving, then why don't he just do it? Because if he just give it to me, then I know it will just disappear, stuff like that. So we know our own weaknesses, we know our own strength, yes. So yeah, we complement each other.
Sorry about the long talk.
All right, thank you so much. I want us to finish at 10. We started at 7. That will be 3 hours. It's really long. So Chefondeme, please, 30 seconds, ask your question.
Okay, we are all talking about marriages. Yeah, it's good. It's good for everyone to get married, but I don't know, but I came late. Yeah, I don't know whether we've already talked about the steps to get there, because we are talking about people who are already in it, but I haven't heard anything about the steps to get there. Marriage don't just come easily. Yeah, so there are steps we can do to get there, because we don't know about studying your partner, blood test, and all those stuff compacted, or we don't know. So what does it take to get there, to be in the marriage? Yeah, or to get married? Yeah.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
to the panel, yeah.
Thank you. Mrs. Samoa, please, in like 2 minutes, could you help the brother out how to get there?
Okay, I think we didn't speak about that because that wasn't the focus of the discussion today. But briefly, how to get there. I think you should start from your friends. You should have a lot of friends and just relate with them, not with the intention of dating, but just have because you certainly will choose from your friends. And as you move along with your friends, your lady friends, you see that there will be some of them whose character attracts you. So from there,
them friend zoners, so we no get problem.
what is that? Anyway, so you have to, so from your friends, that is where you start. And if you have about 5 or 10 ladies that you just relate with them, and through that you just be observing them secretly, the things that you value. If you value religion, and then maybe among them you are a Christian, you think that the other person is a Muslim, then it means that you'll be canceling out the name of the Muslims. Then among the Christians, if you value cleanliness, you value a woman, you value beauty. I have a friend, she says that she wants somebody who has breast and then buttocks. Those are those ones. They are not the from my experience, I will tell you that it is not solid enough. The character should be the most important, because all those things fade, and over time they will just perish. But the character is priceless, and that is what must be emphasized on. So among them, you have some of these qualities, apart from the physical qualities, or even if among all of them, inner beauty, all of them know how to. We have about 3 of them who knows how to cook. All of them know how to cook. You want somebody who is clean. They all know how to clean. But maybe the physical beauty will come. You see that naturally you get one of them that you click so much with. And I don't know, but if you are a Christian, I will tell you that you should pray also into it. I mean, that is what I will tell you, because the Bible says that there is a way that seemeth right before men, but the end thereof is death. I believe that God is a matchmaker. So if you're a Christian and you believe in God, as you are doing your part, pray, and then pray in addition. And God, trust God. God will direct you. Because I know couples who have married and after 1 year, 2 years, one of them died. You see, so many issues. So I think that is what I would tell you. As you pray, and then you gather the courage to draw closer, and you do the needful. Like you draw closer, you propose, you communicate well, you pamper her.
Friend
I
zone
mean,
you.
give her gifts. Give her gifts. It's very important. Some of the guys, they are so chisel. I don't think it will help you. It's not that the woman wants to be bought, but every woman wants to feel loved. Most women, even if it's not every woman, most women want to feel loved. So don't just be too chisel. Open up. And through that, you see that the love will flow naturally. It's not that women love Suku, but it's also very, very important, because every love gives. For God so loved the world that he gave. So every love gives. If you say you love your woman and then you don't give, I don't think that your love is questionable. So you give your time, you give your energy, you give. So it's not even some women. It's not the money that you give or the gifts, but your time. If she needs something that you help her, like all those things. So I think I've given you the steps, and then after you have done all the dating, now you are now coming to start with the courtship. You gather the courage, go and propose. If you are bounced, you keep on pushing. And there are some women, you have to push and push and push before, because most of the time the mistake that most men make is that whilst you were studying the woman, maybe she might have observed it, but she will not take chances, because for all you know, whilst you were studying, she too, maybe her attention was somewhere. So after you have proposed, she has to study you. She has to understand you. But most of you, immediately you come, you expect the women to accept your proposals. It doesn't work. So if you really love her, be patient, and then just continue. And by all means, after you've given yourself some time, by all means, if she really loves you, she will accept you. If she doesn't accept you too, life still goes on. Go somewhere else and try your luck, and it will work.
Auntie Gloria,
Thank you. Yeah.
just 1 minute.
We have 8 minutes. Oh, 8 minutes.
Okay, 1 minute. There is something that is very, very important that we all need to know, as whether in a relationship or in marriage. And it is one of the things that when you get to know, it will really help you a lot. That is character traits. If you don't know that thing, it would disturb you in marriage, and then that even toilet seat. Why is this toilet seat always not down and it is up? This thing. We need to learn the 5 character traits. Every human being possesses more than one. That is how you can be able to appreciate your partner. And if you don't know that, even in marriage, right from the honeymoon, you are going to have problems. We have the sanguine, melancholy, phlegmatic, choleric, and now the supine. Everybody has some of these traits. So now, here you are, you don't know anything. You are phlegmatic. Now you've married a choleric. Now, your attitude as a phlegmatic, you are a very strict guy. Like my sister Gloria is saying, when she enters a room, she likes a spoon to be in a particular way and something. Now you've married a lady who is just a choleric. Abizibe, I don't care. I pick the spoon, I put it here. I put the spoon, I put it here. Until you learn these things and you get to know that, oh, what my wife is doing is not that she's willing to do, but that is part of a trait as a sanguine. So you can begin to gradually help her every now and then and constantly remind her, oh, my wife, this spoon, as I put it here, I told you we have to this thing there. And constantly remind her, Masa, you will never enjoy your marriage. And even right at the relationship stage, it breaks because you scheduled to meet at 3 o'clock. The phlegmatic, or let me always the hey, boys, please. You see another trouble in my home. Now, this character trait helps you to appreciate your wife. And then the answer my brother Sam asks, how far we go to sacrifice. This now comes in. We then begin to sacrifice to go to that extent for our wife that I have to constantly remind my wife and not get angry. Because for the melancholy, they will get angry right now and coil to their shelf. Now you are married to them, they have problems, they are not going to tell you because you constantly was doing something they didn't like, and as a choleric, you didn't, as a sanguine, you didn't make any effort to change. Now the melancholy is not understanding why my husband is constantly doing the same thing I'm telling her not to do. And then the choleric is also saying, oh, now he doesn't say anything. He turns right from the kitchen. He has forgotten that, oh, my husband says we should put this thing. So in all of us, let us take these holidays to learn about character traits. Read vividly. There is their negative effects, and then there is their strength. So you use their strength to encourage them to get better. And then when we also identify our weakness, we have to make the conscious effort to improve. Now I know that in my home, I have to constantly be reminding someone because I was getting tired of reminding someone, which if I didn't know, by this time my marriage would have been a problem. You understand the point now. So please, character traits, everybody, go and learn, go and read, identify yourself, and find out how you can improve. That is one key that can help all of us to understand our partner and then enjoy our marriage. Thank you. I'm throwing you under the bus in public. Don't worry, I'll carry you out. Let's get to the bedroom.
Thank you. So Phila and Fifi are trying to fight me backstage. Say I then and
Yeah.
that. I mean one wants to say Fila doesn't want to talk. So Fila, ask your question. Fifi, you follow. Fifi, you follow. So we're going to take.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Pause for a second, please. Fela, you go briefly. Fifi, you follow. Fama hasn't. Oh, Fama. Okay, let the two guys go first.
So my first question is me. I won't give any big grammar here. Actually, one quick. First question is sister now was talking about guys who they should show some, at least give something. And I say, show say you like the person. You shouldn't just be chasing. But yeah, they are girls also sometimes, if you also love the guy, you shouldn't be stressing the guy too much because you also know.
Sam, I got 3 minutes now.
You also know, say, you like the person, but you intend to stress the person. Then by the time you say, accept the proposal, and then or don't so that's my first question. And then the second one is, if there is any couple here who would like to talk about challenges concerning cheating, how do you solve that issue if your partner is cheating on you, but you love your partner, and then the way your partner cheated on you was just a one-night thing? And now so how do you solve that issue also? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Fifi.
Yes, Gloria, my question is related to sex in marriage and the role of women. It appears that very often for the Ghanaian woman, no, as a DBR, no, it's supposed to be the man who have to be making advances, and then when you make advances, then they turn you down. On the regular, now, where to say, won't go on a DBR, no, only why I say, meanwhile, no, the women too, the thing then they like. So, what is the role of the woman to spice up the marriage in a woman in terms of sex? That's it.
But this is marriage. I don't think it's like that.
Okay. Any of the panelists can take up the question. Hey, I feel I see that issues are coming up.
Hello. Hello. Yeah. So I wrote something in the group, and I just want to just reiterate it. That first of all, the fact that you are married does not mean you never be attracted to anyone else. You will definitely have some attraction somewhere else. Sometimes you're at work, you communicate better with someone. It looks like you communicate better with someone or something like that. You just have to make sure that you remember that you have made a promise to love your wife, and don't entertain those thoughts. If the thoughts are getting out of hand, please talk to someone about it. Talk to a friend or a pastor whom you trust, or someone, a spiritual leader, or someone whom you trust their wisdom, not to tell you to do what you want to do, but to tell you to do the right thing. So yes, that is that one over there. But to the question that Fifi was asking over there, the thing is that you have to. We actually talked about romance and sex before marriage. The fact that yeah, with the fact that we are both Christians does not mean that all we were discussing was quoting Bible quotations and and like prayer meetings and all that. No, we spoke about these things. We spoke about romance. How are we going to enjoy our romantic time and all that. We spoke with couples who were also very vivid with us. They told us about the experience and and all that. And we were blessed to have a pastor who was also very raw. He actually at a point said, forget about all the spiritual things. Let's come to the romantic things. The pastor really spoke to us about it, and we were talking about it. We discussed it. So, we knew that we both wanted this. We wanted to be sexually intimate. it's it's something that you definitely have to talk about before, but to talk about it in the right parameters. Don't overdo it, otherwise you get too many thoughts in your head and you might begin to do things before the right time. But don't ignore the subject. The subject must be discussed. It must be discussed, and you have to talk about it. Talk about what you feel would, might excite you sexually and all that. And in marriage, you have to talk about it during the process. Oh, this is what excites me. This is what excites you, and all that. And then you learn how to do it. There are some conversations you save for after marriage, some conversations before, but don't ignore the topic of sex. It's a very bad, I don't think it's healthy, and you end up being shy of each other, not being sincere with each other. But you have to really be sincere with each other and discuss these things. And there are some very helpful books that will also help you to deal with some of these things and to understand how to go about these issues. And I also need to say this because Mrs. Someone was mentioning it. Sometimes, sometimes I am in the mood and my wife may not be in the mood. And I have to just understand, okay, yeah, I'm in the mood, really in the mood, but she may not be in the mood because she's really tired from work or something like that. Then the next day I try to see what can I do, what can I do to help her? Maybe I can do a romantic gesture or something. But she also actually does it, helps me, she sometimes she knows the massage is very good for me. Massage will get me, into the mood and all that. So she also massage me and all that. But this is for the marriage, and she does it. It's a contribution. She knows what she can do to help me to get there. I also know what I can do, and then we help each other. It's not a one-way thing.
Yeah, it's not true. I don't think it's true when you said that it's only the guy who seems to always have the desire. I don't think it's true because, I mean, like, hey, we're married now, so like, why not do it? Why not do it? And I don't think we should hold it back as wives. I mean, we do it in a perfectly safe and good environment, which is marriage. So I don't really think that we should hold back as wives. And yeah, I think. Yeah, right. I read a book, actually. I read a book. I forgot what it's titled. One of our friends gave it to me on the things that we as I forgot later. Yeah, things you want your husband to know about. And so one of the topics that were discussed was also about sex, and then how she says that we shouldn't really hold it back, and we should have this kind of understanding that this is have to be done in a marriage setting, and then all of these things. So that really helps me also to understand that, oh yeah, it's something that he also needs to have, and we have to talk about it. We have to like discuss about it, whether or not it's okay to do it or not, and stuff like that.
Thank you. Mrs. Amma, would you like to add anything?
Okay, so the sex, I think the issue is that cultural setting has not trained most women in that way. And there are instances whereby even a woman requests for sex, and some of the men say that they are prostitutes. It's prostitutory demand for sex. That is the notion. And that was what I was saying, that is how most of, like in the olden days, that was how some of our fathers were marrying our mothers. And so the woman doesn't have much say in the marriage, and therefore she cannot even express herself sexually. And that is how we have been socialized as in our culture. We don't even talk about sex. So that is one issue about the sex in marriage. And the point is that our men, some of the men too, the other problem is they don't know how to handle a woman sexually. Yes, it's another key factor, because the way the physiological makeup of a woman is different from that of a man. So And most of the time, people equate it to gas and then electric cooker, electric plates. The way the electric plate takes time for it to charge, for it to get heated before it cooks, and once it gets heated, it takes a very long time for it to cool down. And then the way gas, when you just light it, it sparks. That is, the women are like the electric plates, and then the men are like gas. So if you want your wife to enjoy sex, then it's up to you to know how to handle her, and then have enough foreplay so that she can also enjoy. Because if she doesn't enjoy it, why would she call for sex? She doesn't enjoy it. You alone, you just enjoy it, and then after that you sleep and then you snore on top. So it will even be annoying to the women to ask for sex. So if so that is one issue. I don't advocate for premarital sex. I don't advocate for it. That is my principle. And if you are a lady here, I also encourage you to do your best to keep yourself until marriage. Before sex, it's so beautiful, and it's so good. As I said, as for the men, it's just like peeing. They always need somewhere to just offload and then be free. So if you cheapen yourself, they'll just buy you fried rice. China here, how do they buy pizza and those things? They'll just use you, and it will pain you. You think that you are loving them, but to them it's nothing. When they just go and discuss with their friends, oh, this woman, I chop them, I chop them, I chop them, and in the end they'll still go and look for a virgin. So please, let's be alert and then shine our eyes. But once we are in marriage, let's see it as women. Let's condition our minds that it's part of our duties as women. Just like we see it as a duty to cook for your husband, see it as a duty to also satisfy him sexually. So you should direct and channel some energy to it. So but one is the whole thing is a mindset. Once you make up your mind, you always, because if you are married and then your husband is not even demanding for sex, it means that he's having extramarital affairs somewhere. So you should feed him such that he will not even, and you know the slave queens, they are all over. We are seeing them in the office, in the traffic, they are there. Those who are tempting them. So you yourself should package yourself sexually such that no matter what, even if somebody, even at the office, somebody traps him because of the way that you have not been starving him. Though there are some men, no matter what you do, they will still go. But because of the way, but the normal man, because of how sexually satisfied he is, he will not say that after my wife, but when I touch her breast, she just pushes me. So let me go and then go in for the sleeping. So let's hold our husbands sexually. It's very, very important, because the women, the slave queens, they are wild. There are some women who are not ready to marry. They are not ready for the sacrifices of marriage, all the pains that we wives go through as wives. They are not ready. All that they want is that, oh, I just want to give birth with a responsible man after I can take care of him. Or that is all that they want. And they are aggressive. They are going from office to office, just trying to do their selection. So please, let's also, as we pray and we do all those things, because most of the time the Christians who do that, but they know that my man will not leave me. So whatever I do, you will not leave me. But I don't think it's the best. When you do that, you are frustrating the men. The men, do your part well. The women too, they will do theirs well. And with God's help, everything will be okay. And then the cheating, I don't know whether I got the question right, but if you said that whilst you were dating, the person cheated, how do you do? I don't know whether I'm correct.
No,
And
you
I
are not.
can,
I'm here.
please,
I'm
what
here.
is the question?
I can reframe the question again.
Okay.
But before that, I said something before the question. I said something before the question, and then you skipped that one, and then all of a sudden it came back to the same thing again about always being men. Why is it always men? If you also want the sex, I also want it. Why do you always have to do and
Okay, so
warm up and
okay.
things? before.
Okay. You ask your question, then let me add.
Yeah,
Let
I
me.
was saying that, let's say if you are
Okay.
married, right, and then your one of the partner, not the guy or the girl, mean cancer, one of the partner ends up cheating, but it was just a mistake that happened. And then, because of this thing, I say, like, let me put it that way. So in this situation, how do you solve that? Because immediately such things happen, you guys, you start having trust issues and all that. So how do you solve this?
Okay, so if you are married, and that's why we say marriage is for better, for worse. So if you are married and then your partner cheats, even though the Bible says that on the grounds of infidelity, you can divorce the partner, my stand is that you should forgive, unless it is something that, but if it's true, if the person really accepts it and then is sorry, forgive the person. Just that the offender should know that it will take time. Don't expect that immediately I tell you I've forgiven you, I will just jump into bed with you. It's a process. It will take time. So you should give time for the healing process to take place. And then once it takes place, everything, the trust will be restored. So that is that. And for
Please, wait,
and
before you continue, have you been through such
no, I
trauma
have
before?
never ever. So far as I know, I
So
have
how
This
do
never
one,
you
the
ever.
know?
person I feel like steady.
So how is it going to be so easy for you to handle that? Because from what I'm seeing, it's like maybe that's what you are thinking now, but someone who has been in such situation may answer it differently for us. That's what I want to say.
Okay, me,
Hello.
I've never been there, so I can't talk about it. But at least it's just like being offended. It's a process of healing process, and I think you can also make use of counselors, people that you trust, so that they just share their experiences and then guide you. So that is it. But I don't think you should. After all, Roman fathers also do counseling, so I don't think you should go through before you can offer an advice. So that is it. Because marriage is all about sacrifice. If you really love the person has committed an offense, you will not just pack your things unless you didn't love the person, unless it is a habit of the person. But if truly the person is sorry, I think you should forgive the person and then continue. That is what
Oh,
I can say.
are
And
you
for
really?
the women not asking for sex this week, I don't know. I'm sure some of you have seen some man of God saying that one of the things that easily stress releaser is sucking breast. Everybody is happy, but you didn't listen to the whole preaching. That day I was online, so me I listened. And one of the things he said is that when they got married, and the wife, one of us, he's grown through marriage, and one of the things he has learned is that if you are hungry, then the food is prepared in the kitchen. You are the one who is hungry. You can also serve yourself. It's not that the person said that will not cook the food for you. You can serve yourself. So if your wife is not asking, but when you ask, she will give it to you. You should know that women, sex is every normal woman. Okay, there are some people who are spoiled. Those people, their sexual edge is very high. But the normal woman, the average woman, sex is not, that is not how we were made. Men are influenced by their sights. So immediately you see it, no, then you are charged. That is how God created you. But women were not created like that. That is why women hardly are so fussy about sex. So it's not that the person wants to be wicked towards you, but it will take time for most women to learn, to condition our minds that it is part of especially when you even marry someone who doesn't have a very dirty past. It's one of the sacrifices that you should be ready to have. But over time, they will grow. Unless somebody who was flirting all around, those people today come with their own problems. You can never satisfy the person because she has tasted stronger men than you.
Mm. And about
Phila,
the proposal thing, no? About the proposal thing. If you love the person, why do you have to stress the person that much? And that one also, I'm still waiting for your answer. Because
I thought
if you
our
also
time is
want the
up.
person, yeah, but
Okay. Let
if
me
you want the
answer so
person,
that we
just
can.
make it quick.
I think for me, I don't know what to call stressing. Me, my husband, he always says it. When he proposed me, it took me 2 years before I accepted his proposal because we had issues. My parents had told me that they didn't want a fancy. He was a fancy. Number two, the other issue was that I felt that per my wish, I didn't want to marry somebody that were of the same age. That was what I wanted. And unfortunately for him, he felt within that category. So I really had to take my time to be able to decide. So it wasn't that I had issues with him per se. I had to convince my parents that this is the person that I want to go out with. Because I heard my mother say it off every day that no fancy, because my aunt, one of my uncles had married a fancy, and then the way when the wife died, they treated him, they have sworn that nobody. So there may be issues, and the lady is taking her time to decide. So you should be patient with them. It's not that they stretch you, or no, it's not. I mean, that is not what I see, because you took time to study her. She too, she has to take time. But ladies, to please, we should not stretch our men. If you like him, flex just a little and then accept him before somebody takes him away.
Thank you.
Guys, I really like the discussion, the direction it's going, but really we are pressed for time. So we would like to wrap up now, and we would schedule a follow-up program based on what we learned today. So Farmer hasn't spoken, and Ejay Wiafe, I don't know if you are confused because I saw that hand up. And so we would like to take a brief question from you two. But then, Mrs. Fafa, you said you wanted to say something, and I think it's relating to the question. So if you can come now. Crack at 10:30. I'm really sorry, we would have to end. So Mrs. Fafa.
Thank you very much, President Gloria. Okay, I wanted to contribute a little to the part that someone asked how to spice up yours. If I got the question correctly, how to spice up your sex, as in sex in marriage, especially on the side of women. Because I think everything we spoke about for some few minutes now has all been directed to the guys. We've made it look like to spice up sex in marriage is all about the guys. The guys are supposed to make it work and all that. But then we are not talking about the fact that the ladies are also supposed to do something about it. First off, my husband has this thing he normally says that every wife is her husband's prostitute. And so I won't support the part where when a woman is a wife wants sex from the husband and try making advances or try suggesting something and then you think she's what was said, that word was said. I don't think it has to ever come in, because we are women, we also have needs as much as the guys do. And if we can compare vividly, as for the men, to be frank, they wish each and every day they can have sex. And we the women, we can stay off for a while. We can stay off for days, weeks, months, even a year. But then, if you have to spice up your sex life when it comes to marriage, it's not supposed to be all about the men. The women have to do a lot too. Please, women, wives especially, dressing at home. He's your husband. You know what he wants. You have to give him what he wants. you shouldn't always be all the official kind of person. And I know of young women who are married, and every day when they are home, there's this thing we call, I don't know if Ghanaians call bubu or something. That's pata pata kind of dressing. That is all they wear. They have one particular maybe jeans and t-shirts they wear every day. These things don't attract anything. The men get tired at some point. They go out there and they see all the slave queens with their makeups once a while, and then when they talk about it, you the women, you get angry. You get all jealous. But when they come back home, you don't give them anything. In bed, you want the man to make the advance before you can turn around and oh, my husband wants sex. How about you? What do you do? We have to spice it up with the women. And then at the end of the day, we say we are suspecting our men are cheating on us, our men are doing this. Please, my little contribution. We the women, those who are yet to go into marriage, those who are in it, and you think that your whole marriage when it comes to bedtime, when it comes to sex is boring. You have a lot to do as a woman. Don't just wait for the man to end. Ignore that word, say or say. You are not spoiled. You are just trying to spice up your marriage. So please, let's put shyness aside. Let's put the fact that they will think we are spoiled aside. You are spoiled, and so what? You are supposed to be your husband's prostitute. So try, make advances at him. Do things in the kitchen, in the hall, in the bedroom. Wait, outside is supposed to be a bit, I'm sorry. So that's the little I want to contribute. Thank you.
Then I catch your sister Papa. Namisha.
And to for we are facing.
It's for married people, for married people.
We are facing. Guys, please mute your mic. We don't have time. Please, if you can ask your question, followed by Farmer.
Okay.
Hello, AJUF, are you there? Farmer. Sister Farmer, are you there?
He said her question has already been asked.
Okay.
Okay.
But and the JUF too, has your question been asked? All right. So Mrs. Fafa, your hand is still up. Do you have a question, or if not, we'll just okay. I think it's 24. So our panelists, please, your last words before we close.
Wait, Gloria, my hand is up
again. We'll start with Dean. Derek Kujo, please, last words.
Yeah, sorry, I think my mic was on mute. Yeah, so to end, what I would say is that there is no one size fits all in marriage or in courtship. You have to talk about everything. You have to prepare yourself. Most of which I think for what I have gone through with my fiancé, the Hagans have really talked much about it, involving the families and talking deeply about everything we want to experience. So I urge all of us to talk through things and arrange things with our respective partners as to how we are expecting everything to be, and then we'll get it. And then also my word of advice to us is we should be very careful on how we choose. I'll recommend this book, Pride and Prejudice, for all of us. It's a very important book where it spells out some people choosing on the basis of the fact that they are growing old, others choosing on the basis of the fact that they need money to resolve problems, where others out of pride have lost potential men who would have been great partners for them. So you can go ahead to read that book, and then please try to talk about things before you get into marriage, involve family. It's really key. And for me, my situation is a bit like the Hagen. The lady is from a different country, even though she's an African. So we also have a bit of those challenges, but thank God the families have been very supportive. And so we are well on course. Yeah. So thank you for this wonderful program.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sister Abby.
Yes, Auntie. Okay, so for my last words, I would reiterate what I said, knowing yourself, knowing the person. And then another thing I would like to add is, as they rightly said, the fact that the person is a Christian doesn't mean you have everything smoothly, okay, go smoothly. So you have to know, one important thing is, after knowing the purpose of the man and everything, all those, you have to know the person who advises the man. It's very important, okay? The person the man listens to, so that should issues pop up in your relationships, in your marriage, whatever, you at least have somebody, if at least you speak and the man might not listen or might not see eye to eye with you, you have somebody. It shouldn't be anybody at all. Like, you shouldn't sell your stuff out there, but then maybe his pastor or his uncle or something, somebody who advises him. It will tell you the kind of man you are going to date, okay, you are going to marry. Yeah, so that's something I will leave out with this.
Awesome. And the person can mitigate conflict should they pop up in future.
Yeah.
So the Hagens, it looks like you're everybody's favorite couple. Matikwa said they said we should have hot seats just for you.
Of course, they are everyone's couple.
Uncle Eben, they say also now who are one of the secrets in the background, and also prepare in advance. We'll be coming for you. Honorable Bafu, who doesn't talk? I know you are there. Prepare in advance.
Yes, Honorable Bafu, as you say.
Yes. I actually just want to say that it was in Brother Eben's house that I started getting the decision to choose Gabi. So yeah. So I just want to repeat the advice that my friend gave to me on the day of my wedding, that your wife can be an amazing wife to you if you allow her. And I think that if you enter into marriage thinking every day, what can I do to make my wife's life easy for her, to make it easy for her to be a good wife to me. And if she's also thinking that way, that what can I do to make my husband's life easy, I think that you will find that things will flow more naturally. And you will definitely have problems. You should never not think about that. You should anticipate problems, but some problems are not worth getting angry over or something like that. They're not worth it. Save that for the bigger things, and just learn to make your partner's life easy for them. And I think that God will also open a way for you. And pray together. Pray together. It's important. Always pray together.
I should have decided to say first because you said everything. Well, anyway, it's true. We will not have. It's like we will not have a free of problems marriage, but we can enjoy it if we really want to enjoy it. Like if we really want to make effort in enjoying it. So yeah. So there will be problems, but if we learn to communicate better and then to love each other, to really get things for the sake or for the good of the other person without really expecting something back, I think that would really help us in our marriage. So thank you very much for this time and this opportunity.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. My dad. Is it someone? Baby now has been waiting for you. Anyone that will me how anytime. It's me how anytime.
Okay, so it's been an exciting time, and I believe we've all learned a lot. And I think we should continue to have such discussions because knowledge is power, and I know that it will be a blessing to someone. So I think what I will end with is that our women, I just want to assure us that we have the power to perform all the roles that we've mentioned today. And the roles that we are performing should be performed out of love. It should not be for, you should see it as a service to our household. And for the unmarried ones, you should communicate extensively on your expectations to avoid frustrations and disappointments when you marry. If you, as it has been established, most of our men, they want you to cook and then work at the same time. So choose well. If you can do it, commit yourself. If you can't do it, to bargain, communicate, and then strike a compromise before you commit yourself and you start nagging. By that time, it will be too late. And then another thing that I want to mention is that we women, let's try and then socialize our males well. Let's train them in our household activities, house chores, so that when they grow, the Bible says that you should train the child the way that he should go. So that when they grow, by all means, they would also have those skills and they will be willing to assist their wives at home. And finally, our roles as wives, when we perform them well, can be compared with the virtuous woman, the virtuous one in the Bible. It says that the husband praises him, and then the children also appreciate him. And that is that kind of joy that you have if you perform your duties as a wife, or either being a homemaker, a wife to your beloved wife, to your husband, or as a career woman. And through it all, if you fail in your marriage, you are a real failure. If you fail in your career, you've not failed. But if you fail in your marriage, you are a real failure. So let's equip ourselves with knowledge. Let's choose right, and let's trust God to do the rest for us. God is good, and He will see us through. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much. Priska. Where's Priska? I think Friska went. Oh, she's here. Friska.
Hello, welcome. Welcome.
Yeah.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Wow. We've had an amazing time tonight, and it's such an educative program. Thanks to our organizers for organizing such a program. I wish that we will continue with this, but I will not stop here. And to our panelists, Mr. and Mrs. Hagan, we want to thank you so much for your time and sharing your experience with us. And to Mrs. Amwa, though you are enjoying your anniversary and we wish you a happy marriage, you took your time to be with us, to share your experience for us to also grow and become perfect wives and husbands. Thank you so much for being with us. To our only sister, Abigail, and our brother, Derek, we want to also thank you for sharing your expectations with us and also some things that you've learned. And to everyone here who joined this program, we want to thank you all. You made the program a success, and we appreciate everyone so much. God bless us all. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. With that, we've come to the end of our program. And Brother Sam, you can give us the closing prayer. The room will be open for a little bit just for people to get to know each other, but the official part of the program will be done. Sam.
Okay, I'm here. Let's pray. Father, we thank you today for this session. We thank you for our panelists. We thank you for everything that happened, the wisdom that you gave to them to speak to us. We thank you for the cooperation, and we thank you for all the things that we've received today. We know that it was in your plan that we should receive all these today, and by your grace, we have them. We pray that you give us the grace to be able to put them in practice. Those married among us who are having problems and today they've gotten something, we pray that you help them to go and practice it. And those of us who are single also, we pray that you help us, that you give us the bone of our bones and flesh of our flesh. We pray that you help us to cope with our relationships, solve every problem, come out successful to have a delightful marriage. We pray that you help us even in this season to make the best out of it, not to be in our rooms and do things which are not necessary, but do things which will contribute to our well-being and to contribute to our future. We thank you and we pray for our organizers, our executives, that you give them more wisdom to be able to come up with more programs that will help us to grow. Thank you because you know you have heard and answered. For in Jesus' name I will pray. Amen.
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 Amen. And for our
Amen.
guys, listen, there's nothing exciting, okay? You see how this one was role of a woman in marriage, eh? Guys, no more ever.
Dabe.
Obia boy of you.
Boy, Pacho, MBA floor no, now MBA floor now.
Wow, Obia Hawaii.
Oh, so Gloria,
When the casa is here, no, Monsieur.
Gloria, Gloria, message you. Why?
Yeah, no, I have been Nashi Basa.
See, casa catch, that's why they may go to friend zone. Obe friend zone, you say,
friend zone,
yeah, friend zone.